The suspect of the Orange County church shooting has been identified. Local residents say they are shocked by what motivated the shooter. NTD's Jessica Beatty has more.
The shooting suspect is identified as 68-year-old David Cho of Las Vegas. Officials say he's a U.S. citizen who grew up in Taiwan. The sheriff says the motive for the shooting was Cho's hatred toward Taiwan, which was documented in handwritten notes. Cho's notes also suggest he believes Taiwan should be part of China, and he's part of a Las Vegas group that supports unification. Local Asian Americans in Orange County are shocked by the shooting.
There's a lot of Taiwanese Asian people around in Irvine and Laguna Hill. We have never hear anything happen like this.
Hate is gonna causing other hate, and have to stop.
One young Filipino American says his takeaway is you gotta be a good citizen to other people.
It's just very considerably shocking for something to happen to such a community, especially when violence is not really the norm. Keep being vigilant and just keep being compassionate to other people.
All the victims were of Asian heritage. The FBI said it's opening a hate crime investigation. Jessica Beatty, NTD News.
A California district attorney rebuked a judge's order of giving a cop killer a minimum sentence. The DA said that the laws in the state have eroded accountability for violent crimes. Last week, a Sacramento Superior Court judge sentenced 22-year-old Juan Carlos Vasquez Orozco to 15 years in prison for shooting and killing an El Dorado County Sheriff's deputy. Orozco received the minimum sentence after Judge Sharon Lueras struck all of the charges involving gun usage. In response, the El Dorado County District Attorney Vern Pearson wrote that this is the fault of state laws that allow judges discretion to strike enhancements from sentencing decisions. Pearson pointed out that law, Senate Bill 620, in a 3-page statement. He wrote, "It was a rare use of discretion, especially considering the fact that one peace officer was murdered and another was wounded, both by gunfire." While prosecuting the case, Pearson sought the maximum sentence of 40 years to life. His comments on the ruling follow Orozco shooting and killing Sheriff's Deputy Brian Ishmael in October 2019. Deputies responded to a marijuana grow operation where Orozco was both living and working. Orozco ambushed and killed Ishmael before being arrested. Pearson wrote he was very disappointed by the judge's decision. U.S. authorities on Monday announced the discovery of an underground smuggling tunnel through Mexico's border into San Diego. Authorities seized nearly 1 ton of drugs related to the tunnel, while the owner of the house on the Mexican side said he had no idea it existed.
You stay on the rails, it's okay.
Investigators discovered the tunnel last week about half a mile from the Otay Mesa border, crossing between San Diego and Tijuana. More than a dozen other tunnels have been discovered in the past 2 decades in the same area. The passage was discovered on Friday and ran 1/3 of a mile to Tijuana. It was 4 feet in diameter and about 6 stories deep. After staking out at a home that had recently been used as a drug stash house, agents began making traffic stops of vehicles that had been there or at a warehouse near the border, turning up boxes full of cocaine. They raided the properties, finding no other drugs at the San Diego warehouse, but a tunnel opening carved into the cement floor. At the other end of the tunnel in Tijuana, the owner of the property told Reuters he didn't know it existed.
I came back from a stroll and now they aren't letting me into my house. What happened? I wasn't aware of what was going on in my house. It was all very hidden. There are 2 houses.
Jimenez said he hadn't heard any noises from the tunnels.
Nothing. That's why I find it very strange that in 12 years I've never seen any suspicious movement. Nothing.
Like many such tunnels, it had reinforced walls, electricity, ventilation, and a rail system. Agents seized more than 1,700 pounds of cocaine, 165 pounds of meth, and 3.5 pounds of heroin from the vehicles and the residents, and they arrested 6 people on federal drug conspiracy charges. All are Southern California residents. Authorities did not link the latest tunnel to any specific cartels or say how long the passage had been operating, but the Department of Homeland Security is investigating the tunnel. David Lamb, NTD News, California. California lawmakers are requesting a hearing regarding the $600 million no-bid contract for COVID-19 masks 2 years ago. The CEO of a transparent government spending website explains how the state controller is involved.
A civil lawsuit revealed State Controller Betty Yee was involved in the $600 million no-bid contract for COVID-19 masks in 2020. Since the deal was made, leaders have questioned how that deal went through when a startup company called Blue Flame, which supplied the masks, was only a few days old. In an interview with California insider Siamak Khorrami, Adam Andrzejewski, CEO of OpenTheBooks.com, said during the height of the pandemic, Governor Gavin Newsom put out an emergency order for 100 million masks without a bid.
The only problem is he set up the bank account just a few days earlier. So when $457 million hits the account, it triggered all the alarms and the wire was reversed.
2 years later, Yee was discovered to be involved in this. Andrzejewski said there were 150 texts between her and a Republican political operative. Yee encouraged that operative to get the deal and not reveal how much he would make.
So this political operative, he wasn't the mask manufacturer. He was kind of a middleman here. He was going to clean off profits of $134 million. She knew this, and she encouraged him not to tell anybody about how much profit he was going to make.
As the state controller, Andrzejewski said Yee's duty is to curtail fraud and to ensure that taxpayers aren't taken advantage of. But he said it's not that case anymore with many officials.
And we just believed what we learned in the 8th grade in our civics classes, that when people get elected to office, they want to serve the people. And what we have found is it's just not true. They're making deals for the special interest and not the public interest. So now it's time. Now's the time to expose it all. It's a target-rich environment, and we need to follow the money.
Andrzejewski said he and his company auditors have filed 500 requests with the state agency and expects to obtain the line-by-line spending by summer.
After nearly 5 years of construction, Google is officially opening a new campus. It's the first one built from the ground up by Google. Let's take an inside look.
Google is opening a new Silicon Valley campus named Bayview.
The Bayview and Charleston East campus together are the first buildings that we're doing completely ourselves from the ground up. So we wanted to rethink what is the nature of a workplace? How can we make buildings and structures and places that people will love and use for decades?
Google announced Bayview's opening on Tuesday, and the Charleston East project is set to open next year. Located in Mountain View, Bayview sits on 42 acres of land adjacent to NASA's Ames Research Center.
It's 1.1 million square feet in total of 3 buildings, 2 which are office buildings, and the third one is an event center. And we're going to have around 4,000 employees who will be working here in our new hybrid ways of working.
Kaufman said much of the design was driven by figuring out what Google employees needed to do their best work.
Our 3 big goals with it were to help Googlers be productive, connected, with high levels of well-being. So that's really what drove the interior design.
The building has 2 floors, but it creates 2 distinct environments.
The bottom level, the ground level, is like a vibrant marketplace. It's where a lot of the meeting rooms are, the cafes, the fitness. And the upper level is more quiet. It's where teams are, where they can be with their immediate teams of 6 to 8 people, but also feel connected to their overall community.
Officials said sustainability was key to the campus.
That has long span in between the columns, having high ceilings, having double height space in areas, having exposed structure that has beauty to it, and having natural light accessed to all of the spaces.
On top of each of the buildings is a vast array of overlapping solar panels.
With this building, we came up with this thing we're calling dragon scale solar panels, which produces energy, but looks like this beautiful metal roof. It looks sculpted. It almost looks like a metal fabric, like thrown in the wind that then fell down.
Google said these solar panels, coupled with nearby wind farms, power the building 90% of the time. The roof also collects rainwater and directs it to campus ponds. The same water also serves as a water source for flushing toilets and landscape irrigation. Members of Google's advertising team have already begun moving onto the Bayview campus, with more set to join in the coming weeks.